Evening on the World News Tonight. First, the headlines. Nigeria's inflation jumps to 24.08% in July. NBS. Presidency speaks on NLC threat to embark on indefinite strike. FG moves to withdraw firearms case against Emefiele, files fresh charges. NAV helicopter on evacuation mission crashes in Niger State. And on sport, Plateau United signed 3 foreign players. I am Morire Rebila Lawal. The news shortly. Nigeria's headline inflation jumped to 24.08% in July 2023. The National Bureau of Statistics has revealed. This is the highest recorded leap in 2023 and a while. In June, inflation was recorded at 22.79%, but has now jumped by 1.29 percentage points. The NBS said in July 2023, the headline inflation rate rose to 24.8% relative to June 2023 headline inflation rate, which was 22.79%. Looking at the movement, the July 2023 headline inflation rate showed an increase of 1.29 percentage points when compared to June 2023 headline inflation rate. On a year-on-year basis, the headline inflation rate was 4.44%, point higher compared to the rate recorded in July 2022, which was 19.64%. This shows that the headline inflation rate year-on-year basis increased in July 2023 when compared to the same month in the preceding year, July 2022. Following the threat of the Nigeria Labour Congress NLC to embark on an indefinite strike if the price of petrol continues to rise, the presidency has described the move as needless. Information reported that when the African Trade Union Alliance met on Monday in Abuja, the NLC President Joe Ajaero threatened to shut down the economy by calling for a complete strike if the price of petrol increases again. The organized labor claimed that President Bola Tinubu administration's policies had caused Nigerians enough suffering, and they would not be amenable to any increase in the price of petrol that make matter worse. President Tinubu is working hard to ease the country's hardship, according to the presidential spokesman, Juri Ngelale, who responded to the NLC's threat on Monday evening. He said the president was aware of the pain and economic hardship currently befalling the nation, families across the country, and efforts are underway to stabilize the economy. According to Ngelale, every government initiative aims to improve the challenging situation our people most experientially and effectively way possible. He said there is no monopoly on the deep empathy that we feel as fellow Nigerians concerning the pain and economic hardship currently befalling Nigerian families across the country. The Labour Union absolutely does represent the interests of Nigerians, workers, and our role as a government, and particularly, is to ensure that every government action was aimed at the most urgent and the most efficient amelioration of those difficult conditions facing our people. With respect to energy costs and prices, let us be very clear that the deregulation of a market means that market conditions that are decided outside of the shores of any one country will determine the price of those commodities. The notion that the government is controller and controlling or is leveraging in any way to the cost of these commodities in the country is a total misunderstanding of the market dynamics in the petroleum sector. The president will continue to engage in effective and direct dialogue with the labor unions, and he is committed to living up to every word and every letter of the agreement made so far. And we expect that such agreements are not going to be tied to vagaries of international petroleum market that Nigeria does not have control over. The federal government has applied to withdraw the illegal possession of firearms case it filed against the suspended CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele at the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos. The Director of Public Relations (DPP) at the Federal Ministry of Justice, Mohammed Abubakar, in an oral application told Justice Nicholas Owebo that the application followed the result of further investigations. However, counsel for Emefiele, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Joseph Daudu, opposed the application, insisting that the government must first purge itself of the disobedience of the court's order granting Emefiele bail before its application could be taken. Justice Owebo has adjourned till Thursday, August 17, 2023, to rule on the application. In an interview with journalists after the day's proceedings, the DPP said a fresh 20 counts have been filed at the Federal Capital Territory FCT High Court against the suspended CBN governor. One of the counts is said accused Emefiele of conferring unlawful advantages.
Godwin Emefiele. At today's proceedings, the Director of Public Prosecutions at the Federal Ministry of Justice, Muhammad Abubakar, told the judge that its decision to withdraw the charge is informed by emerging facts and circumstances of the case, which requires closer investigation. In his response, the lead defense counsel, Joseph Daudu, said such an application cannot be made orally, but in a formal application, which must establish the need for public interest, the interest of justice, and the need to prevent abuse of legal process. The federal government has now filed 20-count charge of illegal procurement against the suspended CBN governor at an Abuja High Court. Of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele.
The Nigerian Air Force now says its Mi-171 helicopter on a casualty evacuation mission has crashed in Niger State. Edward Gapquat, the spokesperson of NAV, who announced the incident in a statement on Monday, said the helicopter crashed at about 1 p.m. near Chukuba village in Shiroro LGA of the state. Gapquat said the aircraft had departed Zungeru Primary School en route to Kaduna, but was later discovered to have crashed near Chukuba village. A Nigerian Air Force Mi-171 helicopter on a casualty evacuation mission crashed today, 14 August 2023, at about 1 p.m. near Chukuba village in Niger State, the statement reads. The aircraft had departed Zungeru Primary School en route to Kaduna, but was later discovered to have crashed near Chukuba village in Shiroro local government area of Niger State. Efforts are currently ongoing to rescue the crew and passengers on board the helicopter, while primary investigation and preliminary investigation have commenced to determine the probable cause of the crash. On July 14, a trainer aircraft of the Nigerian Air Force crashed in Makurdi, the Benue State capital. According to NAV authorities, the trainer aircraft came down during routine training. No death was recorded, but 2 pilots who were on board were taken to the NAV base hospital in Makurdi for treatments.
From Zungeru Primary School after evacuating bodies of soldiers killed in a Sunday afternoon attack. It later crashed near Chukuba village in Shiroro local council, one of the most affected areas by bandits. There was a resurgence of attacks in the last 8 days around Wushishi, Munya and Kotungura axis. The Niger State Emergency Management Agency reported that about 1,000 persons have been displaced by these attacks, and some are currently in temporary IDP camps in some primary schools in Kotungura. The Nigerian Air Force said efforts are ongoing to rescue the crew and passengers on board the helicopter that crashed, while preliminary investigations have commenced to determine the probable cause of the crash. Although local sources in the village said the aircraft was shot down by one of the bandits' camps. No details yet regarding the details of persons on board the aircraft. The Niger State Governor.
An army major, 11 soldiers and yet to be ascertained number of local vigilante members have been reportedly killed by suspected terrorists in Zungeru,
Umaru Bago has also condoled the Nigerian Air Force over the incident.
Soldiers were also injured during the gun duel that took place on Sunday. The terrorists, numbering about 7 and armed with sophisticated weapons, reportedly ambushed the soldiers, but the troop did not go down without stiff opposition as they eliminated over 30 of the insurgents. It was gathered that the soldiers were ambushed while on their way to respond to a distress call in Akari community, where the terrorists were said to have rustled cattle. It was further gathered that the soldiers were given wrong information on the movement of the bandits as they ran into the ambush. It was gathered that the bodies of the slain soldiers were deposited at a Federal Medical Center, FMC Zungeru, before they were evacuated on Monday morning to an unknown destination. Also, a source said 5 persons, including a 1-year-old child, were killed, while about 15 people were abducted by gunmen from New Busa, Borgu local government, Chibani, Shiroro local government, and Zagzaga in Munya local government areas. As a result of the incident, civilians in Akere, Wushishi, and neighboring communities have fled their homes and were taking refuge in Zungeru town. When contacted, an army officer at the 31 Artillery Brigade in Mina said, "We are not allowed to speak to the press. Please contact Abuja." Convener Shiroro Concerned Youth Mr. Sani Koki confirmed the incident and the attack in a telephone interview with correspondents in Abuja, describing the incident as unfortunate. When contacted, Senator representing Niger East, Mr. Mohammed Sani Musa, described the situation as highly unfortunate and called on the federal government to dispatch its military and security arsenals to the troubled areas to have innocent lives and their property saved. Musa said this is a very serious situation happening at a time we were happy thinking that banditry was subsiding in our various communities. The FG should, as a matter of urgency, deploy all its arsenal in order to curtail further spread. Meanwhile, palpable fear has gripped the people of Ushishi, Zungeru, and neighboring communities following heavy deployment of security to the area to fish out the criminals responsible for the attacks, as they were said to be stranded in the bush with their rustled cattle and injured colleagues. Residents of Emefiele, Ogoloma, and Okolomade communities in the Abwa Odua local government area of Rivers State have fled the area after gunmen killed 2 military men in the area. Chief of the Adada community, Nicholas Gilbert, told journalists that the people fled for fear of harassment or invasion by security agencies. According to him, the people are currently sleeping on their various farmlands. He lamented that the rain had left them in an unsafe condition as they had no shelter. He decried a lack of security presence and police station in the area for over 20 years, which he said has resulted in the continued kidnapping and killings in the area. Gilbert called on state government to help resolve the issue so they could return to their homes, pleading that they were all stranded in the bush. As I'm talking to you, I'm right in the bush. What happened in Adada has been happening since 2008. We have been suffering at the hands of all these bad boys. 2008, one Mr. Emmanuel Okiri was shot dead, and the government did not come to ask us how about it. 2009, again, something happened. I went to Abwa, to the police station, and reported, but nobody came. I was asked to bring some money because of transport. I told them I have no money, so I came back. Right now, we are suffering the same thing. We are hearing rumors of threats to come and burn the community. We are hearing rumors of mass arrests. They have arrested some people in Ogoloma and elsewhere. We are running helter-skelter inside the bush. I reported to the Highness of the Kingdom. He told me by tomorrow they are going to have a meeting. Information gathered that last Tuesday, government killed 2 military men and stole 2 rifles from them. They were attached to the contractor of a cargo Ogoloma Adada Road projects being executed by the state government. Information also lands that the 2 soldiers were killed by gunmen trying to abduct the expatriates handling the projects. On the foreign story, military chiefs from the West Africa bloc Ecowas will meet in Ghana this week to discuss possible intervention in Niger, military and political sources in the region said Tuesday. The meeting on Thursday and Friday, originally scheduled for last weekend but then postponed, came after Ecowas leaders last week approved deployment of a standby force to restore constitutional order in Niger, whose president was toppled on July 26th. Their summit, held in the Nigerian capital Abuja last Thursday, also reaffirmed the bloc's preference for a diplomatic outcome. President Mohamed Bazoum's election in 2021 was a landmark in Niger's history, ushering in the country's first peaceful transfer of power since independence from France in 1960. His ousting unleashed a shock around West Africa, where Mali and Burkina Faso, likewise battered by jihadist insurgency, have also suffered military takeovers. The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, gave Niger's military rulers a 1-week ultimatum on July 30th to restore Bazoum or face the potential use of force, but the deadline expired without action. Analysts say military intervention would be operationally risky and politically hazardous, given divisions with ECOWAS ranks and domestic criticism. Finally, on sports. Plateau United head coach Mark North Ombwas has continued to strengthen his team ahead of the new season. The newly appointed tactician squad has been bolstered with the arrivals of forward Frederick Boateng, Seth Owusu, and Biboni Ibrahim. Ghanaian-born forward Boateng moved from the Nsumachu FC Defender also joined from Recruitovo do Libolo in the Angolan top-tier league, while goalkeeper Ibrahim arrived from Uzbekistan. The trio featured in Plateau's United win against Bitnov FC in a warm-up game on Monday. The players are expected to play critical roles for the club next season. The new season will commence on September 8th. For the sports story, we've come to the end of today's world news. Before we go, some headlines. Nigeria's inflation jumped to 24.08% in July, NBS. Presidency speaks on NLC threat to embark on indefinite strike. FG moves to withdraw firearms case against Emefiele, files fresh charges. NAV helicopter and evacuation mission crashes in Niger State. On sports, Plateau United signed 3 foreign-based players for next season. For more updates on our channel on YouTube, our handle is BGI TV Current. Kindly subscribe and click on the notification bell. Select option all to access all of our broadcasts. On Facebook, Bagede Imo with Alawi Adebayo. Please like and follow the page. Thank you for watching. I am Morire Prebila Lawa. Good evening.